صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا مظلوم يا غريب كربلاء يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا من خزائن علومك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The theme for this year's Muharram lectures is about the spiritual journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah in the Quran speaks to the human being and says to the insan, إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَى رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ, that we are moving towards our Lord and inevitably we are going to meet Him, whether we are ready or whether we are not. So the day is going to come when we are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regardless of wherever we are right now, whatever situation we are in individually, the day will come when we are standing by ourselves in front of God to be judged. And we have the choice from now to be prepared for that meeting beforehand or to be there before we want to meet Him. And so the journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the spiritual journey, when the Prophet says, Mutu qabla an tamutu, so die before you die, this whole journey, this whole lifetime is for this purpose. It's for getting ready. That's what this is all for. Before anything else you do, this is your priority if you choose it to be. Otherwise, when the day comes, when you are meeting God, and the day will come, the divine promise is that you will meet Him. And if you didn't make this priority in this lifetime, then you're going to be ill-prepared. And so the scholars over the centuries developed a science, developed a teaching within Islam, which is the science of wayfaring, which in Arabic is called sayr wa suluk. Okay, it sounds like a fancy Italian dish, but what it means is moving towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the path of the wayfarer. And this journey is a difficult journey. It's a long journey, but it is the journey that you were created for. The purpose of you being here, of you existing, is because of this journey. Unfortunately, most of us never begin the first step of the journey. We have a lot of knowledge, alhamdulillah, from the Muharrams that pass. Often in these lectures, we receive bits and bobs from the wisdom of Karbala or the wisdom of the Imams or the Holy Prophet. Yet, it seems like we can't bring in a chronological order, an actual map of what this spiritual journey actually means. For it not to be in the sky, but to be on the earth, something that I understand, something practical, something I can do in my daily life. And so this journey all takes place within the core of the human being. So this is all an inner journey. Okay, this traveling is inside. Imam al-Askari alayhi salam, he says, Al-wusul ila Allah safarun tawil. It's a journey. You have to travel and it's far away. So you have to go from A to B. You have to leave wherever you are right now and you have to go somewhere else. So you have to put in effort. You actually have to move. You have to change yourself. And that's what these nights are about, for us to change ourselves. This journey, this change, this movement from situation A to situation B begins within. But where within? All the techniques and these rituals that we do in Islam that have been passed down to us from the prophets, from the Imams, are for this purpose. In Shahr Ramadan, we fast every year, 30 days, wajib. We don't have a choice. In Salat, we pray 5 times a day, wajib. We don't have a choice. That's if you don't do the Nawafil and Salatul Layl and all the other recommendations that the Imams and the Prophet give to us. These are all for this one purpose, this movement from A to B. Sometimes we're taught religion in terms of Haram or Halal. Okay? A lot of the time you ask the youth, what does Islam mean? You just Haram or Halal. That's a very small part of it. That's just the things you're allowed to do and things you're forbidden from. Islam is much greater. That's one small part. It's called fiqh. It's just the law. Islam does not equal the law. The law is a necessary part of Islam. Islam is much more. Islam is about creating this human being which knows God. That's what the whole journey is, to know God. Man arafa nafsah, arafa rabbah. So you have to know yourself so you can know God. That's what this whole thing is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling His story through each and every single one of us. Through you. Through your experiences, your meditations, your contemplations, your life. If it's done in meaning and purpose, you begin to know yourself and hence you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This whole journey is within, but in a very important part within. A very important part of the human being where this all takes place. Imam Khomeini says it best, that he says the entire life journey of the human being is in the measurement of a shibr. A shibr is an Arab measurement, is this much. This is 1 shibr. And he says the shibr is from your mind into your heart. This is the movement that has to happen. It has to happen here, in the heart. A lot of our questions, the place they're coming from, as we mentioned yesterday, is the spiritual doubts. These spiritual doubts come how? It comes when we're not taking care of our hearts. Remember we spoke about the different ways in which the heart can be infiltrated, your social environment, or you're not taking care of it. You're not protecting it. It can easily be infiltrated. So this heart needs to be taken care of. This is where the journey actually takes place. Sallallahu Muhammad wa Muhammad. The heart is where the journey takes place, and so it has to be clear and clean. In the coming nights, I'm going to tell you guys the practical steps that we can take 1, 2, 3, 4 in this journey towards God that you can apply in your daily life. But before that, I want to speak about where this is happening. Where is this journey that we're going to be speaking about occurring? It's occurring inside. When I'm speaking to you, take it literally. It's inside us. It's not dreamy fantasy words. It's real realities, metaphysical realities. These are things that are real happening in our lives. In the heart is where this journey takes place. So the heart has to be sound. A sound heart. Because the heart can have blemishes. So we want to go on this spiritual journey. In a traditional Islamic society, what we could have done is we could look for a teacher that has already gone on this journey, this spiritual journey. And this teacher would take us in and would raise us. And he would be like a sheikh or a murabbi, a real classical old school teacher. In our current societies, we don't have that. And not everyone can travel to Iran or Iraq or Lebanon or stay in a house for 10 years. And it doesn't need that. So you need to know from now, you don't have to go far away from your family or your friends or the life that you're living right now. You can still go to work or go to school and live the normal life that you're living and still live this spiritual reality. You know, in the dua, you ask Allah, Aranil ashya kama hiya. Show me things as they are. What does that mean? Show me things as they are. A lot of the time, this dunya is a delusion for us, an illusion, and we go into ghafla. We forget. Like we spoke about yesterday, the heart begins to forget. But when you're asking Allah, show me things as they are, you're asking Him to show you the realities. And that's what we're going to be speaking about, the realities that occur in the heart. So we have the Quran, we have the words of the Imams, we have the advice of the scholars. So even if we don't have the teacher right in front of us, there is still so much that we can apply in our life, and there's hope. And you really can achieve this. There are real people out there, and I've seen them, and I've lived with them, that actually live with the purest hearts, that are living with Allah, and they know good. There are people that do know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This exists. And there's nothing stopping you from being that person. Yani, there's a Sheikh Bahjat, there's a Allama Tabatabai, and these are the names of those scholars that have given the advice in at least the last century of what this journey is towards Allah. Sayyid Ali al-Qadi, Imam Khomeini, these types of names, these are the spiritual masters of the last century. That there's nothing that is missing within you to emulate their spiritual journeys. That this is something that you can live in your day-to-day life, even if you're in Canada, even if you're in England, even if you're in America. It's something real that's available to us. And so, before we begin on these journeys, I have to say, I'm not someone who's done it. I'm one trying to do this journey with you guys. I'm in the same boat, yani. We're in the same boat. But alhamdulillah, I've been given the opportunity to learn from these teachers, and they've given me this information. I'm simply passing it on to you with the hopes that we can all take this journey together. And so you come to this heart of the human being, and what it means. In Islam, the heart, we do this all the time, right? Because the organ heart is on the left side of the chest. But when we say heart, we're talking about something that's metaphysical, that's immaterial. The heart within Islam is the focal point of who you are. It's the real you. Your realest, deepest reality is your heart. Even the organ heart, the physical heart, it represents the spiritual heart sometimes, because the heart is that center which pumps blood into the entire body. And every culture in the world, every society has these metaphors about the heart. In every language, you'll find they come and they speak about the heart. And the word heart actually comes from the Old English heart, which means the core, the innermost. So it's the lub, it's the innermost you. So the word heart comes from that understanding that it's the innermost you. And the word actual heart in English comes from the Sanskrit word, which means that which leaps. And then you understand when people say, when you fall in love, your heart skips a beat, right? It leaps. That's where the word heart comes from. When we say these metaphors, whether you're in China, or you're in Asia, or you're in India, or you're in Europe, or you're in America, everyone uses in every language these metaphors surrounding the heart. We say, that person is cold-hearted, right? If they're mean, or if they don't have feelings, we say that's a cold heart. Or warm heart. Or we say, that person wears their heart on their sleeve, right? We say, this is a courageous heart, brave heart. We say, you touched my heart, as in you really impacted me. You touched my heart. We say all these things without realizing how much we give to this word, heart. That it's not only in Islam that there is an understanding surrounding the heart as being the innermost focal point of the human being, even physically and spiritually, but in all cultures, in all societies, they speak about the heart this way. So Islam has a special significance when it comes to the heart. This spiritual journey takes place in the heart. So if the heart is corrupt, if the heart has blemishes, if the heart is sick, it's very difficult to go on this spiritual journey. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brothers, if it's okay, if some of you can come more towards us front, because people are coming from the back and then they have to go through a few people. Thank you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you. So this journey takes place in the heart. And this heart has to be sound. For this journey to take place, it has to be sound. Sound meaning it's peaceful, it's free of blemishes. In Islam, this is called Al-Qalb As-Salim. The translation is the sound heart. Al-Qalb As-Salim, the peaceful heart, the sound heart. The heart that is free of the blemishes. When you commit a sin, or when you commit a wrong action, Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam says that a black dot appears on your heart. Again, I'm symbolizing with this heart, but there's a spiritual heart that we're actually speaking about. A black dot appears on the heart. And the more wrong actions one commits repetitively, the more black dots appear on the heart until the heart is completely darkened. And then it's very difficult for someone to wake up. And so there are some people with sick hearts. And the Quran speaks about it. فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٍ. There are those with sick hearts. When the heart is the only thing which can be the salvation to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَوْمْ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. This is a profound ayah. And really you can summarize everything in this ayah, your whole life journey in this ayah. It means that day, Allah speaking about the final day and that meeting with Him. He says that day when nothing benefits the human being. Not wealth, mal, la yanfa'u mal, money is not going to help you. All the money that you accumulated, all the time you spent to make money, which is what we do our whole lives. We go to school and go to university and get these grades and these degrees so that we can get good jobs so we can make money. It's all about money. These houses and cars, and we need to get married. Wait until I get money. And God says, لا ينفع مال. Money is not going to help you. ولا بنون. What do you want the money for? We say, well, we need to make money to feed our children. We need to make money for good reasons. And that's fantastic. To feed our children. We need to make money to help people. We need to make money to give to charity. That's all good. And that will help you towards your akhirah. But what you're actually doing when you're giving to charity, it's for one reason. To make your heart sound. That's what it's for. If it isn't, inshallah, you help the entire earth. If you go to hell, what did you do? That has to be your priority. Yani before everything, you have to think, my akhirah. Here is where it's okay to be selfish. You have to think, khair, I want to help everyone. But if I end up in hell, then what's the point? You need to have a sound heart. And it's not just about hell, it's about knowing God. Before heaven and hell, it's to know Allah. And you can only know Allah with the sound heart. Money won't benefit you, and children won't benefit you. لا ينفع مال ولا بنون. So your entire life, you're working towards getting married and having kids so you can pass on your legacy and your name. And after all of that work, after all the money accumulated over 60, 70, 80 years, you die. And then the inheritance, the kids start fighting about it, and then their kids fight about it, and then all their families' branches, they split up. And then for what? And if you didn't cleanse your heart before that, your life was a waste. So, لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا, except من أتى الله بقلب سليم. Except those who came towards Allah and met Allah with al-qalb as-salim, with the sound heart. So that's what it's all about, brothers and sisters. It's about having the sound heart. So the question has to be, before everything, how can my heart be sound? How can I go on this journey with a sound heart? This corruption that can be, the heart is associated with so many words. Anger, jealousy, envy, even iman, yaqeen. All these words, certainty, faith. All these things are associated with the heart. The angry heart, the jealous heart, the faithful heart, the certain heart, the doubtful heart. So which heart do you want? And you have to, the advice is there, the steps are there, you have to implement them. The scary thing is, the really scary thing is, a lot of our hearts might be sick and we don't know. That when you're thinking right now, as the people I'm explaining, the ones who have a sick heart or a blemish on their heart, none of us in this room can say, that's not me. You have to really check. Because even if you don't see it, it might still be there. You have to really look deep into yourself to know yourself. Knowing Allah is not easy. This is going to be the hardest thing you do in life because it's your main mission. Everything else is secondary. Your university is secondary. Your family is secondary. Everything is secondary. The heart is the priority. That's your life. From your heart, that's where you can give to your family. From your heart, that's what you can do in terms of seeking knowledge and everything else. It starts here. That's where it starts. And just like the organ, the physical heart, sometimes someone does not notice the symptom when they have a heart attack. A few weeks before or a few days before, nothing may be wrong with them and they have no idea. And then they die. And we hear about these stories. We hear about someone who just passed away from a heart attack and we say, how? They were fine. Last week, we just played football last week. I'm going to say soccer, but I refused. We just played football last week. He was fine. He ran 10 miles. What happened? He was only 4 years old. He was only 35 years old. But he died. No one knew about the symptoms. Right? We hear about it all the time. It's the same. Halal, right now, you might think, I'm safe. I'm good. Retrace your steps. Check. Really, the steps that you're making, it's good to doubt yourself in that context, to question yourself. It's a very good attribute to have. When you're not always certain about your own sincerity. With God, you should never be fully confident. You know, sometimes the Christians, they use that against us. They say, I actually read this, I heard it on a lecture, when a Christian man is saying, the Muslims, they don't even know if they're going to heaven. You ask a Muslim if he's going to heaven, he says, Inshallah, Inshallah, I hope so, if God wants. Whereas us Christians, we know we're going to heaven. Right? They have this complete confidence that we're saved by Christ. The Muslims don't even know. Yeah, we don't know. It's what Allah wants. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Inshallah, we hope so. You should never be too confident with Allah. You should always be seeking nearness to Him, trying to gain His time, trying to gain His attention. You should be screaming out, looking for His attention. You should be working towards that. It's not for free. You have to put effort into that. So you have to put effort into cleansing this heart. You have to really look to see if this heart is something that is sick. And don't let, for example, these clothes fool you. Someone might wear these clothes and have the biggest turban and might have a very sick heart. The outside does not always tell what's on the inside. Someone may look so pious and you don't know what's in their heart. And someone may look like they have nothing to do with religion or iman and they might have the purest heart. You don't know. Only Allah knows what's in the hearts. You don't know what's in the hearts. So even, I came across this brother who I know, who couldn't speak Arabic and was trying to learn Arabic. He was in Lebanon studying Arabic. And he had this exam that he was doing, and he spelt Haidar with a da. Okay? He didn't spell it with a da. He didn't know. So he's put da and Haidar. And the sheikh picked it up. I saw a sheikh. He picked it up and he looked at this kid. And he said, Haidar bid-da? And he's laughing at him. And all these other students are there and they start smickering. And this poor kid who's trying to learn Arabic is being picked on by a man in a turban. Now, say what you will, but that shows there's some sort of problem in this guy. As small as it is, someone may not have known that they hurt this poor kid who's been trying his best, a silly mistake. But that might show a symptom in this person and he doesn't even notice it. He doesn't even see it. Sometimes we do it. Sometimes when someone is telling you something, an uncle, an auntie, a teacher, they're telling you a story or telling you a bit of information that you may already know, and you say, oh yeah, I know about that. Maybe you know about that. Maybe you don't mean anything by it. But that's rude. That's bad adab. That's a problem. You don't notice it. Small. I know I'm saying something very small here, but to that extent, that's a blemish on your heart. That you have to really consider other people's feelings. Even if you yourself feel like you didn't do anything wrong. Well, I didn't do anything wrong. Well, that's arrogance. You should have empathy. If that's how Rasulullah was. He would have empathy. If Rasulullah was on the way to the masjid and an old lady came to speak to him and she had all these questions and she was trying to speak, and sometimes, you know, with all due respect, sometimes a lot of these old ladies, they just want someone to speak to. And so she chooses Rasulullah of all people, the busiest man in the world, and she starts telling him stories. And you know what the Prophet does? He stands and he listens and he waits. And they're waiting for him in the mosque. And he listens And he's empathetic. He doesn't say, well, look, I'm really busy and I've got this whole ummah to take care of. Right? He listens to this poor lady. He's empathetic. He realizes that he can't just hurt people just like that. That's a blemish on the heart. So we need to really look into our hearts. A great technique that we need for that is to have a partner on this journey. It could be a best friend. It can be your spouse. It could be your mother. It could be an uncle. It can be anyone who has the same affinity with you that wants to go on this journey towards Allah, wants to change, wants to become good, wants to stop the bad actions. Khalas, I've had enough. I want to become good. I want to take this step. A great thing to have is a partner. Someone who can help you stop doing what you know is wrong. They say, Al-Mu'min mar'at al-Mu'min. The believer is the mirror of the believer. Okay? We help each other. Sometimes I'm weak, I need your help. Sometimes you're weak, you need my help. We rest on each other. You don't always feel courageous. Your heart isn't always as strong as you need it to be. Your friend, your companion on the journey can help you. It's a very difficult journey to do it alone. Look for a partner, look for someone that can help. Macbeth says it best in the play of Macbeth, Shakespeare. He writes, God has made it such that we cannot see our own faces. You can't see your own face. You have to look into the mirror, right? I was just sitting down. One brother told me, look, you have a little string in your beard. And I was like, where? And I took it off because I can't see my own face. He has to tell me, right? I needed someone to help me. Sometimes you don't see your own symptom. You don't see the problem in your heart. Your companion, a real friend, can be honest with you, even when the truth hurts. Because if you can't be truly honest with this person, then it's not truly a companion. If you fear, oh, they're going to be upset from me, they're not going to speak to me afterwards, they're not really as close as you think they are. They're not your real true companion. True companions, the ones who say what needs to be said because they know you need it. Even when it hurts, they know that for you to grow, you need to know there's a problem here. Look, you keep doing this thing. You need to work on it. I'll help you. Of course, not in a self-righteous way, yani. We all know our companions and who our friends are and who we accept from. But when you're really close with someone, then you should expect them to assist you in that way and be honest with you. Not because they want to bring you down, not because they want to hurt you, or because they want to see you grow. And they see that this is a bad, repetitive action that you keep doing, and they advise you, and you advise them. And this is the relationship of growth that we need. And so in Islam, there's always been this understanding that the intellect was rooted in the heart. Our understanding is rooted in the heart, that the heart is a real thing that has to do with our intelligence and has to do with our understanding and our vision. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes a certain group of people. He says, لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. They have hearts that they don't understand with. Which means that the hearts are things with which you understand. It's something that is able to comprehend. So what happens when someone has a heart that they can't comprehend with? What does that mean? The heart has been so darkened and so taken away from the light that it no longer recognizes the light. It doesn't understand anymore. And this is in Karbala, you see it. Imagine that Imam Mahdi Sharif is right here in front of us and is giving us lecture after lecture, speech after speech, telling us this and this and this and do this, and you say at the end of it, we don't understand what you're saying. You don't make sense. That's exactly what they said, Imam Hussain in Karbala. He kept telling them, you know who I am? We know who you are. You know who my mother is? We know who your mother is. You know who my father is? We know who your father is. It's kind of why we're doing this. And yet you still want to attack me, even though I'm the grandson of the man who brought you this religion? And they want to attack him. You know what Shimr says? Shimr, the one who cut the throat of the Imam. The Imam keeps saying this. Imagine the Imam is giving you truth right in your face. And Shimr says, I don't understand. He says to the Imam, I don't understand. What are you talking about? Like, what are you saying? To Shimr, it sounds like nonsense. Because he has a heart. لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. They don't understand. So imagine, what state can our heart take us to? The heart has to be strong. Has to stay purified. Has to be taken care of. So that it can be a heart with vision. and can be a heart that understands. If you notice, the Imam in Karbala, when Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salam is on the ground and the Imam is next to him, what does he shout out? Al-an inkasara dahri. Now my back is broken. Because Abu Fadl was his whole backbone. But he doesn't say, Al-an inkasara qalbi. He doesn't say, my heart is broken. The Imam's heart never broke. Even after Abu Fadl passed away, he stood in front of thousands surrounding him. One man, strong, just lost his sons, his companions, his brother, everyone, and he's able to stand in front of thousands of soldiers, all eager to see his blood. No fear, nothing. A general on the battlefield, sturdy, firm, courageous heart, pure heart, qalb salim. That's what qalb salim can do. That's what he wants for you. He wants for you to have that qalb salim. Doesn't say al-an inkasara qalbi. So don't let the world break your heart. The world can break everything else, not your heart. The heart's for God and God alone. You take care of that heart and you keep pushing through with that heart. And every single wrong that occurs in this world, everything bad that has happened, every rape, every conquered nation, every village that was taken apart, everything that's ever happened, every murder, every bad thing has come from a human heart. Everything began in a human heart. Every evil. It began in a human heart. So if you really want to change the world, so many of us, we say, I want to change the world. If you really want to change the world, change your heart. At the very least, don't contribute to the evil in the world, because that's where it's coming from the heart. And if you are able to not just only not contribute, but you are able to heal, you become someone who heals other hearts. If you see a heart that's broken, you fix that heart up. You're there for others to help them and assist them on their journeys, on their hearts, where this whole spiritual journey takes place. A man by the name of Wabisa, he comes to the Prophet and he asks Rasulullah, he says, Ya Rasulullah, ma huwa al-bir? What is righteousness? Bir, righteousness. He asked the Prophet, what does righteousness mean? What is it to do the ultimate good? What's the right thing to do? What's righteousness? And the Prophet says, أَجَيْتَ تَسْأَلُ عَنِ الْبِرِّ? You've come to ask about bir, about righteousness? The man says, نعم. The Prophet says, استفتي قلبك. How beautiful is that? استفتي قلبك. You know what that means? He said, you want to know what the right thing to do is? Ask your heart. He talks about the heart as if it's another person, as if it lives, as if it's someone that talks. He says, ask your heart. What does your heart tell you? The Prophet saying that. استفتي قلبك. He said, البر ما اطمأنت إليه النفس واطمأن إليه القلب. Righteousness is that which the nafs feels peace with and which the heart feels peace with. استفتي قلبك ولو أفتاك الناس. Ask your heart, even if everyone else around you is saying something else, you follow your heart. A lot of the time people keep telling us, no, ma'alej, this is okay, it's not haram, it's fine, you can do this. By the way, this doesn't mean that you can say like, oh, you know, my heart tells me hijab is not wajib, so I can take off hijab. That's not, a lot of people try to take this narration and flip it that way. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean you follow your heart with the rules. The laws are there. It means when it comes to these doubts that some people have, that is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Can we do something like this? Ask your heart. Many times we do certain things, and guys, you know what I'm talking about? Don't want to mention, but there are certain things out there that someone might say is halal. Someone might say is okay. And you know you're going to be hurting people with that thing. But when you ask your heart, you know it's not the right thing to do. And you know, deep down you know. We all know that there's a time and place for everything. And a lot of the time, 80% of the time, something may be abused. So ask your heart. Be honest with yourself is what it means basically. Be honest with yourself. If you ask your heart and your heart doesn't feel right with this thing, don't do it. That's the first step that you can take. When you know something feels like a wrong action, don't do it. You know that this is wrong. And you're still going towards it, which means you're going against your heart. And so there isn't this peace There isn't this alignment between yourself and your heart. There's a problem. And so we want to be people that are honest with ourselves. That we want our hearts to speak to us. So when we are unsure, we call upon the heart. Because the Prophet said, "Istafti qalbak." So, okay, heart, I'm calling you. What do you say? There's something I'm not sure about here. Let the heart speak to you. But if you are someone who abuses your heart, if you're someone who allows sickness to enter your heart, if there are problems in your heart, then how is that heart ever going to guide you? The heart can guide. The Prophet is telling you it can guide you. But if you're someone who doesn't take care of it, it can't guide you. So you need to be careful what you allow in. Al-Qalb, Arshur Rahman, is the qalb is the sanctuary of God, the throne of Allah. Allah says in a Hadith Qudsi that the entire universe, the heaven and the earth, could not fit me, but the heart of a believer could fit me. That's how special this gem, this treasure is that we have, that many of us will die without actually achieving the potential of. And that's a big shame. And so, we come on these nights in Muharram, this journey, Karbala, this is what it's all about. When Imam Hussain alayhi salam gives everything for Allah, he gives his baby, he gives his brother, he gives his son, he gives everything, and he leaves all his beloved ones behind. Because he's doing the right thing. And that's so difficult to do, and such a big sacrifice to make when you know you're going to lose everything and you still do it. These are all halal things, right? Having a wife is a halal thing. Having kids is a halal thing. It's a great thing. But a lot of the time, dunya might take you away. Maybe you have a mission, but then you say, no, my family, no, my money. You know what? I'll give you, when the Imam would be on the way to Karbala and he would tell people to come with him, they would say, I'll give you horses. I'll give you money. I'll give you all these. He says, I don't want your horses. I don't want your money. I want you. Come. Why don't you come? Wallah, Imam, you know, my family. You know, I have kids to feed. Man, Allah will take care of your kids. Come, tawakkul. This is like the maximum sacrifice. You see, people around the world, they find this crazy. They don't understand. The way we are raised, we love death. We're raised since we're small kids, we're told about a man with an arrow in his eye and his hands are cut off, and a baby with an arrow in its neck. We're told these stories and we grow and we love death. And we look forward to something. Al-mautu lana aada. Right? Death to us is normal. That's what the rest of the world fears. My brother's 18. I'll ask him and his friends. So my brother's raised upon the same path that we're all raised on. He tells me, my friends hate talking about death. They're all scared of it. Yet we speak about it and we glorify shahada and martyrdom for Allah because of this school. The thing that the rest of the world fears, we don't fear. There's something special about that. That we are people of courage in our hearts. Because of this Imam, he tells us, I want you. Not just money, not everything else. I want you. I want your time. I want your sacrifice. I want your life. Prove yourself. That you have to go to the end, to the maximum. Because if you can prove yourself that much, then you can commit your life to me. You can commit your life, and what is the whole point? Imam Hussain is trying to show you Allah. That's what he's trying to show you. It's not about him. He's trying to show you God. All this what we do, and we cry for him. Why do we cry? Because the most emotional thing we can do is cry. And what is emotion? Where is it connected to? The heart. Emotion is connected to our hearts. Does it make sense? When you ask, why do we cry? Do you see why you cry? You see how it all links? This story, sacrifice for Allah, the heart, this whole journey, spiritual journey to know Allah, the crying connected to the heart, it's all together. And so every year, we recount this story. Every year, we renew our pledge, just in case some of us forgot it, just in case some of us went astray. Imam Hussain alayhi salam brings you back as if he's here right now, and he's telling each and every one of us, I want you, come. Don't go so far. Come. Every year, he gives you another chance. Next year, some of us might not be here. This might be our last chance. Are we going to go with him? That this change, are we going to make it in our lives? To live for Allah and die by Allah? This is a special opportunity for us that we can't refuse. And so, Abu Abdullah alayhi salam was in Medina, in Masjid al-Nabawi, praying his Maghrib prayers. A messenger comes to him and tells him, you are wanted in the palace of the governor of Medina, Walid. He's calling for you. He has news for you. This is in nighttime. Usually they don't do this at nighttime. The Imam knows there's something wrong. We know something weird's going on. So he tells him, I'm coming now. Tell him I'll be there soon. He leaves the masjid. He goes towards his family, Banu Hashim. He calls Ya Abbas, Ali al-Akbar. He calls all Shabab al-Bani Hashim. He calls Qasim. He calls companions. They all come. He tells them, they're calling for me in the palace. It seems like something's wrong. I'm going to go speak to them. But just in case, you all stand outside. And when I go inside, if you hear me raise my voice, you run inside. Abu Fadl says, I'll be right outside the door. They go towards the palace. The Banu Hashim stay outside the door. Imam Hussain goes inside the palace. He goes to see Walid. He sees another man there, Marwan ibn al-Hakam. And Marwan is sent from Syria, from Damascus. And they have a letter. And the letter says that Muawiyah has died. And that Yazid is now the emperor. Yazid is now the Khalifa. And the letter says, take the bay'ah, take the allegiance from Imam al-Hussein, take the allegiance from the Imam, and if he doesn't give it to you, then take his life and behead him right there. And so they tell the Imam, you are forced to give the bay'ah. And the Imam looks at them and says, it's not for someone like me to give bay'ah to someone like Yazid. And if you want something from me, ask me in the daytime, in public. Why are you bringing me here in the middle of the night? When he says that, the messenger from Yazid gets up. Marwan, he tells him, this is the son of Ali. You better take the allegiance from him now, otherwise we're not going to get it. Get it from him now or kill him right now. And this is when the Imam is enraged. And his eyes look straight dead at that man and tell him, who's going to kill me? You or you? And his voice is raised. As soon as the Bani Hashim hear his voice, the doors open. Abu Fadl runs into the door with his sword out. You called me, Mawlai? Who's talking to you? If only Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam had someone to come with him when he was finally alone. After Abu Fadl is on the ground without any arms, with only one eye. After all of his companions have fallen on the ground in Karbala, after he has given his baby, and you saw the blood drip from the neck of this small baby as it flapped its arms, trying to reach for the neck of its father. And the Imam stood there, alone, ghareeb. How much would he have needed Abu Fadl right there? But instead he saw Abbas trembling in his own blood, his arms hundreds of meters apart, as he's on the lap of his brother, moving his head onto the ground. Who is going to hold your head, Ya Abu Abdullah? And the Imam calls out, Al min nasirin yansuruna. Yesterday, I was surrounded by my family. I was surrounded by my sons. I was surrounded by my brother Abbas. Now they're all laying slaughtered on the plains of Karbala. How did Zainab feel when she left Medina? It was Abbas that helped her onto the horse. Now she looks across the desert at a mutilated body as she is dragged and whipped along the hot sands of Karbala. ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.
اللهم صل على محمد. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, the Q&A will be in about 10 minutes in the tent outside. Brothers, please make your way through the men's wudu exit, and sisters, please make your way through the female entrance. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اكشف سواد الطفو واجرح ظلامه، واسرد جوادك للحرب واحكم لجامه، وجه المنايا ينطي امر يفتح لثامه، وبحرقه سل من الغمم يوم القيامه.